We are here, and we'll probably have people come in and out. My name is Katrina Sawa, and we have Loren Fogelman, sorry, Lauren, and we are your two presenters today, and your experts around pricing and stop undervaluing you. Say hi, Lauren.
Hey, how you guys doing? I know many of you already, so happy to have you here.
I know, and it's good to see some familiar faces and meet some new people. I love entertaining, but also educating in this way over Zoom because I love to be able to see you and learn what you're doing. And so I know Lauren does too, and we're super excited to talk to you today about this topic, which is near and dear to both of our hearts because we see too many entrepreneurs undervaluing themselves and not charging what they're worth. And so we're going to talk about the opposite of that, how to stop undervaluing yourself and really to get paid what you're worth. So you are in the right place if that's what you're looking for tips on, perhaps. And it doesn't mean that you're not already making money. It's just what's that next level look like for you for pricing, for your programs, for reaching out, and for inching through the belief in yourself so that you can earn more. So that's what we're here to talk about. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, even if you were an author, a speaker, or a really seasoned entrepreneur, there's going to be some nuggets that you can take away from today's call because we are both very knowledgeable in business in general. And we're going to talk about the mistakes on pricing and how to increase your profits without additional time spent. A lot of times people say, well, I don't have time to build a big business because it's going to take too much time and I want some freedom. Well, that's not always the case. That doesn't have to be how it looks. And then we're going to talk about how you can take it further and have some free stuff for you at the end as well. So sit back and take some notes and feel free to chat in the chat room with each other and or ask questions. But I'd love to maybe give a little quick introduction for each of us so that those of you who know me can get to know, that don't know me can get to know me and all that. So Lauren, go ahead and you start.
Sure.
And yeah.
So I am a sports psychologist turned business coach. What I have found is in the beginning, having a clinical practice, working with athletes on their mental games to really rise up to the top, it was pulling me in many, many different directions. And I found that I was making sacrifices. I was working really, really hard, but I wasn't always home for dinners in the evenings with my family. I wasn't always available on the weekends because I was playing catch up with other things. I was just pulled in many, many different directions and starting to experience burnout. That's when I started looking for what is the way to be able to do what I love, which is really helping people get out of their own way and be able to achieve their full potential without having to sacrifice my own personal time or my family time any longer. And that's when I started moving the direction of business coaching. Basically, what I do is I work with service-based entrepreneurs who charge by the hour, the session, or the project, and empower them to double their income working half the time. And last year, I was recognized by HubSpot, which is one of the leading marketing companies, as one of the top 22 business coaches globally. So really very proud of that. I didn't even know that it happened until actually people started reaching out to me. But my mission is to really show you how to have a business that supports your lifestyle instead of one that sucks the life out of you. Katrina, how about you?
Thank you. So I have been a business coach and marketing coach for 17 years now. I started way back before the internet, I think, but it was, I was doing advertising sales, and I've been in sales and marketing jobs all my life since I was 16. But the last job that I really, really loved was selling advertising in the local newspaper. Some of you probably don't even get your newspaper anymore. I know I don't. But I loved going into small businesses, brick and mortars, a lot of them, and some service and solopreneurs that I would meet at the local chamber, because at that point I didn't know how to get clients all over the world. But the problem was I would see them going out of business all the time, and because they just didn't know what they didn't know, and they were so busy trying to work in the business, they never worked on it enough. They didn't learn all the sales and marketing stuff that they needed to know. And when I would go in to try to sell them an ad, they'd be like, okay, well, just, they'd be frantic, first of all. And they said, just run my business card as my ad. I'm like, I'm not running your business card as your ad. Let me tell you what you're going to do. And this is the only way I'm going to take your money is if you do it this way, because that's what's going to get you results. And the ones that listened to me would be the ones that were successful. And so I would consult with them in so many other ways that I found, when it was time that I was just done with the paper, which thankfully was right before the internet boom, was when I realized, I could just teach. There's so much stuff they need to know. They're about running a successful business. They're not doing their internal marketing. They're not, they're taking checks in their brick and mortar, but they're not saving those addresses and phone numbers and doing something with them. It's like, what are you thinking? Right. So I went and consulted a lot of people around the local area. And then, of course, in the last 15 of those 17 years, I've learned the online stuff too, and how to really help entrepreneurs all over the world and the globe. So I just love helping people make more money. I'm all about money. Like, let's make more money, just like Loren. And it's not necessarily to be greedy and have a bigger house and buy another car and la, la, la. It's to do more good and make a bigger impact. So those of you who want to do good and help people, great. But let's make a lot of money doing it. You can help a lot more people that way by maybe even hosting an event that nobody has to pay for. You can host it. Or, giving your books away instead of selling them to people who need them. So there's a lot of good that can be done when you make a lot of money, but you have to get your mindset around the fact that you need to make more money. And some people are just like, well, I'm good enough with this amount of money. I don't need any more. So I really help with the systems, the back end, the functionality, the processes it takes to reach a lot more people, because just a little bit of people is not going to make the money you need to make. You have to really reach a lot more people, but you don't have to work hard doing it, like Loren said. So we can create systems, automation, and delegate more in order to really do that. So that's a little bit more about me. I live in Northern California with my hubby, Jason, who just quit his job to do his own business too. I'm so excited. And now we're going to be a 2-entrepreneur household, and there's so much more I could tell you about the love side of my life, but I will not in this call unless it comes up. All right, so how do we start this? So we want to first talk about, okay, what are some of the mistakes people make with your pricing? We don't want to stay there too long because we want to give the positive things of what you need to do, but what are some of the main mistakes you see, Loren, when it comes to creating programs, products, and services, or pricing them, or both?
The main mistake that I see service-based entrepreneurs doing is continuing to charge by the hour. But basically, they're just charging by the hour because a lot of times they started out as employees and they were paid by the hour or maybe by the salary, and that's just what they knew. But the truth is that the hourly rate was created by an attorney in the early 1900s, I believe, and he created it out of thin air because he was charging a lot of money to his clients and he needed to justify it to them somehow. So people all over the world now charge by the hour, the session, or the project based upon this attorney, and they think that they're doing it based on some research or evidence. And it was just something an attorney made up to justify his rates. The thing that you need to recognize is that when you're charging by the hour, then you're actually, in my opinion, renting out your soul, you're renting out your time, and you're undervaluing what people really want. And people aren't actually hiring you. What they're doing is they're investing in a solution. So I really encourage you to stop looking at charging by the hour, the session, or the project, and to truly understand what people value, why they're hiring you, and how to be able to position yourself as that solution for them as opposed to them just going ahead and renting out your time. How about you, Katrina?
Well, great. And I don't think you're saying not to ever do one-on-one, right? You're just talking about the value pricing part of it, right?
Absolutely. You can do one-on-one. However, you can set it up still for value as opposed to selling your time.
I just wanted to point that out because some people are like, no one-on-one. Well, because that's where some of the bread and butter is in the beginning of your business is the one-on-one. But some of the mistakes I see is people will, oh, well, I'm only $50 an hour because I'm just starting out, right? I'm like, $50 an hour, I wouldn't hire you at all. I wouldn't think you would know what you're doing, right? So I had a life coach do that with me one time, and she'd already been in business for probably 2 or 3 years. And I just said, well, what's your biggest challenge? And she's like, well, I'm not making enough clients. I said, well, what are you charging? And she's like, $50 an hour. And I'm like, well, that's why, because I would never hire a life coach that was only $50 an hour. So the biggest mistake is thinking that you're new and pricing yourself as new. When you start a business, some people have PhDs and a master's degree, or you have like this whole nother experience and 20 years experience over here. And then you go start this thing over here, but it has very similar expertise. And you think all of a sudden you're this newbie. No, you're a 20-year expertise veteran in the stuff you're teaching, perhaps. You're not even taking into consideration. And that's not even besides the point that you might be a certified whatever, or you might have an award-winning thing, or whatever it is. So never price yourself as the newbie, first of all, if you're coming into the marketplace. Always, well, I say always charge as much as you can possibly say without stuttering, frankly, until you can say more, and then you say more. Because setting a price that's higher than you can actually spit out confidently is not helpful, because that's not going to get you clients, because they'll be like, are you sure? I don't know, you don't look very confident, and they're not going to hire you. So as much as you can say confidently without stuttering, and then once you get paid a few times at that rate, then hopefully you'll have more confidence and you'll increase your rates again and again and again. So those are some of the first things I see people doing. Even if you've been in business for a while, sometimes it's time for an upgrade, right? Or you haven't raised your rates in 5 or 6 years. It's like, come on, people. There's so much, and I don't mean to say people. I'm kind of a blunt in your face kind of a gal. I think you are too, aren't you, Loren?
I'm not quite as, I'm direct. Let's put it that way. I'm not sure about the in your face though.
Okay. Well, I'm a direct in your face kind of gal.
You know what, Katrina, you're bringing up a topic or a piece that I think is really important is you were talking about the private sessions. When you're starting out, private sessions are definitely what's going to bring in the most money for your amount of time. And you're going to gain so much insight. I believe, though, that instead of selling one-off sessions, because most people don't get the best result in just one session, right. I want you to start looking at packages. And when you start actually putting packages together, bulks of sessions, whether it's 4, 6, 10, whatever that might be, then you can actually price it more for value of that outcome as opposed to time.
Right. And then start thinking about, okay, if I have this package of X number of calls with me or sessions with me, what else can I throw in to add extra value? Can I throw in a done for you thing? Can I throw in this ebook, or can I throw in this checklist? And you can add the value there, which can also increase the rate that you possibly could charge. So you can pad the value with a lot of good stuff. The longer you've been in business, the more stuff you'll have. And please start recording everything you do. Everything you do should be recorded or transcribed or both, so that you start developing that additional library, so to speak, of bonus content and things that you can give. So those are some ideas. And I have a whole strategy on the types of business models. Why don't you share a little bit about what you recommend as far as the types of business models people have, like the different price points? And then I'll share, if you haven't mentioned, some of the ones that I like to do.
Sure. As far as the types of business models, it really comes down to 3 things. You want to look at your one-on-one time as being your highest value, looking at leverage time, which is one-to-many. That might be speaking to a group, doing trainings of some type, doing group coaching, And then the third one is some type of passive thing where you do it once and then you get to be able to sell it over and over and over again. What I would look at with a business model is in the beginning, it's the easiest thing is to really sell those one-on-one packages. How can you put together maybe your services or private sessions in a way that's going to go ahead and focus on an outcome as opposed to simply selling your time. I started doing that in the beginning also. What I found is after a while, I didn't want to do that many private coaching sessions in a week's time. It was once again filling up my calendar and taking away from other things that I enjoyed doing. So I started figuring out how to do a combination of private as well as group coaching sessions. And I have found, whether it was me as a sports psychologist or now with the business coaching, that to me is like the best. Doing the private sessions along with the group coaching is absolutely where my clients get the most value, because then it's not just about what I bring to the table. It's also about listening to other people, what their experiences were. It validates your experience maybe, or you get insights that you never ever would have had because you're listening to somebody else. And then the third thing is really looking at those passive ways of bringing in income where it's done and then all you have to do is just sell it over and over and over again. I think that it's important because it lets you create your own content and you get really aware of your process and your systems. What I find though is that the people that buy those passive programs, they don't necessarily complete them. Most of them just don't even start them, or they might do a little bit, but they really don't get the full value. So it is definitely a way that people make money is by creating passive types of group coaching programs, done for you services or books. But I find that a lot of times people don't actually get the full value when they're doing it on their own. It's a self-study program. So Katrina, you might be taking it in a different way, but those are the different ways that I really look at my clients is how do we start to package things and really how to focus on the results as opposed to selling dollars for hours.
Yeah, no, and I agree that those are the three buckets, best for sure. And there's so many different ways you can sell a group thing. It could be live, it could be Zoom, it could be another kind of virtual. I have like a 5 levels of what should be in your like offerings funnel, so to speak. And so the first one is really the freebie, right? So we don't talk about that necessarily, and because we're talking about pricing and packaging and undervaluing, but we still need free stuff in order to attract people in. And so I have a whole host of free different things that I have to get people in on different topics. So because I cover a lot of different topics, but if you cover 1 or 2 different things, you want to look at that freebie too. And the freebie really needs to be a really good piece of content. It really does. It really needs to be like your best work. Like what we're giving here is free, but I'm not holding anything back. So I know Loren's not. So the freebie has to be one of your best things, because if they really think that's awesome, they're going to want more. If your freebie is just like I'll give them this little thing just because I don't mind giving that away, that's not going to help you build your business. Then the second thing is the easy yes offer or the try me out offer. I'm really big on this because I do a lot of in-person networking and live events and speaking. And when someone just meets you for the first time at an event or even online, you want to give them an easy way to try you out, not a join my annual thing or join my 6-week course or come do my $7,000 whatever. Usually when you just meet someone, they're not going to do that right away without a deeper trust and connection with you, right? So especially in person, we want to make fast cash today. And that's something that I talk a lot about is how to make fast cash today. Well, you got to have an easy way to do that. And so creating a package, my packages are usually under $200. So usually an easy yes offer is anything under $200. And so it might include a call with you. And I actually recommend it does include a call with you, because that then becomes the stepping stone and the conversation to what's next and the upsell into something else for you. And you know, it can still be a very value packed call, but let's also have some sales conversation in there, please. Okay, so don't forget to do that. So the easy yes offer, if you only give digital stuff or residual stuff, then they only experience you one way, and they may not perhaps take a deeper dive with you for a more expensive package, unless you have a really good funnel that's going to do that. So then it's the do-it-yourself, like she was saying, have some kind of mid-level package that's your signature system, and usually that's somewhere between, you know, the $300 and the $3,000 perhaps price point. It could be more, it could be up to more, and we're kind of thinking the coach model here, but this can apply to a lot of different types of businesses, just so you know. We just have to get, you know, hone it in just for you. And then there's the I'm all in. So that's for very interested and committed people who want more of you. They want to get your advice personally, maybe some one-on-one, it might be some group, but they're going to have a little bit more access. And so that's the I'm all in. And then there's the whole enchilada. The whole enchilada is kind of like my mastermind, where it's one-on-one, it's group programs, it's live events, it's digital, it's everything in the kitchen sink. And not everybody has that package, frankly. But those are some things to think about, and how maybe you might structure some different price points. So, I mean, I know I go from free to 20 grand, and I have $7 things, I have $2,000 things. There's a price point for everyone. And I don't necessarily want you to be all to everyone, but when it comes to price, you want to be able to get someone started somewhere, right? So if you're having a sales conversation with somebody, and they can't do your $10,000 or $20,000 thing, they literally can't. I mean, you've had the discussion and you've gotten through the mindset blocks, and they literally can't, right? Physically or financially. Then what's next? Then you know, I always say start high, go low. What are you going to offer next? Is it the 5,000? Is it a 3,000? Are you going to finally end at a 3-call package for $600? I mean, so you got to know what you're selling first, and please don't start with the low price thing, because then when you say the higher, they're going to balk, right? So I don't know, in response to all of that, Loren, what kind of things are you running through your brain at the moment?
Sure. As you're talking about it, one of the things that I want to really go into regarding the price, the reason Katrina's telling you not to start with the low price is because of research based on neuroscience. There's a term called heuristics, and I will absolutely put it right there in the notes so you can see what the word is. Basically, it means that our brains take mental shortcuts. We take mental shortcuts all the time, and we anchor onto things as well. If whatever number you throw out first is going to be that anchor number, and then your potential clients are going to compare everything else afterwards to that first number that you threw out. So if you throw out a really low number first, everything else is going to be really, really, really expensive in comparison. That's why you don't start with the lowest first, like Katrina was saying. However, what you do want to do, as she was mentioning, is start with the highest first, because if they can't go with the highest, they're thinking, oh my gosh, that is the value that she offers. And then anything else might seem like a real bargain afterwards. And so really start with that highest one. What I would also look at, which is similar to what Katrina says, is I put together packages. I coach my clients to put together 3 packages. I want them to have a VIP one for the people that want that done for you. You roll up your sleeves. You are just getting in the trenches with them. And that is your highest price package. Then you're going to have a gold package, which is going to be where the majority of your clients are going to be working with you. That includes everything that most of your clients need to really get that result that they want. Then the lowest one is the silver, which is the basic one. It gives them the basic necessities to get a result. However, it's for the people that are a little bit more price sensitive. They really see the value of working with you. However, they just don't have the funds to be able to invest at maybe the gold or the VIP level. So when you're giving people 3 packages, then you're giving them an option of how to work with you, as opposed to just a yes or no of can they work with you or do they move on. So that is pretty much, what I saw as you were talking. Anything else you want to add to that, Katrina?
Well, and somebody mentioned in the chat that, what are the high price points on some of these other levels? And I was saying anywhere from 5 plus to 10,000 plus. And a lot of people say, oh, what would I do for $10,000? I can't even imagine what I would offer for $10,000 or 20 or whatever your threshold is of, I can't even imagine charging that. Then what I say is, like, if you don't have a program that high, guess what? You're never going to sell one. So put it out there. Even if you don't sell it for 18 months, I don't care, but you need to have a program at a much higher price point. Even if you don't talk about it, like, put it on your website just to see what happens. And with an interest list sign up or something like that. You never know. You might get some interest and, like, well, I'd love to know more about your blankety blank VIP program, and you're like, oh crap. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this person, right? But it's better to have that problem than not have it in the first place. So I say just go for it and put a big price tag out there for something big. You never know. I sold, for example, I was at an event one time, somebody else's 3-day training, right, where they enroll people into their mastermind programs and all that. I was at somebody else's event, just having lunch with some people that I met. Really good conversation with this gal next to me. Lo and behold, she's like, I think I want to hire you instead of this gal. And I'm like, what do you got? And I sold a $40,000 program at lunch at somebody else's event because I had it, because I was prepared with the materials. I had the brochure, I had the sign-up sheet, I had the enrollment form, I had everything with me. And now I only brought a couple because you don't often find that very often that that's the case. But if I had not been prepared, if I had not had that program, no $40,000 program would have been had at that event, right? So I'm just saying, my little rant.
and by the way, I just want to say it's because people know you already, or you knew how to connect with them, is why you can go to an event, meet with somebody during lunch, and then they turn into a client. Because I've had the similar experience where, similar to you, having my freebie, somebody got on my email list, they've been following me. I just randomly sat down at their table for lunch. They recognized my accent. I don't know how, but they did.
Because you have an accent.
and from, and they said, oh my God, I've been following you for years now. We ended up having a conversation, and that person absolutely enrolled right into one of my VIP coaching programs. So yeah. It's not like what she's talking about only happens to Katrina. I've had the experience also. It's really about the fact that you are coming to these things prepared, and you just have trust that you meet the exact right people at the exact right time. And then when that does happen, you have a system that you can follow in order to be able to really serve them at the highest good.
Preparation and positioning, I'm telling you, will do you wonders when you can position yourself. And positioning to me means that it's not only an internal belief and confidence, but it's an external, what do you look like to the person that has no idea who you are? What do you look like to them on your website, on your social media, with your marketing materials, with your branding, with everything? Now, you don't have to spend $20 million on your branding or your website to make it look like your stuff, but you gotta invest in that positioning. Unless you plan on just going to a gazillion chicken dinners and trying to find clients that way, it's usually not enough people, though, when you're talking local networking, right? So we need a really good, visible online presence that positions us for greatness, for expert status, for credibility and what we're doing. And you got to have the right messaging, and then you got to be prepared with order forms, with brochures, with sign-up pages. You got to make it easy for people to sign up, to pay, to get this information from you. And
these days you can just do it on your phone or your tablet. So makes it so much easier.
You mean for them to sign up?
Absolutely.
Right. But you, the business owner, has to make it easy for them on your website, which means investing in your website, investing in the right team to make sure your systems and your business is set up correctly. And so you're not in manual labor chaos in the back end. So being more prepared. So positioning and preparation is huge because that will also give you more confidence. So we're talking about undervaluing yourself. Well, you undervalue yourself when you don't like your website, when you think you're new, or when you don't understand what value you bring, you don't know the messaging, you don't know the transformation you provide, or you don't have the words to be able to say what you do in a networking situation. That's when you don't have the confidence. That's when you're undervaluing and undercharging, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And Katrina, we can go on this for another, hour or so. I want to go ahead and make sure that we hit the other 2 points. So let's go ahead and hear a little bit from you about increasing your profits without additional time spent working.
Yes. So, okay. So first of all, you got to have systems, right? So in order to reach more people, in order to make more money, you got to reach more people. Usually you can either increase your rates. So if y'all want to charge $100,000 for a program, you can sell 10 people and make $1 million. There you go. Done. Right? If you're not up to that, then $10,000 per person, you can sell 10 people and you can make $100,000 a year. Most of you are not doing that, right? So in order to make 100,000 or 500 or $1 million, we have to talk to a lot more people. We have to sell to a lot more people. One thing I want to point out is that a lot of coaches and a lot of people will tell you, well, just start a membership program. Okay, so membership programs mean usually a lower price, usually under $100, maybe even under $50 a person. My membership is $7 a month, for God's sakes, right? You have to sell a heck of a lot of people to make any money at $7 or $47 a month. So that is never the place I have people start in the beginning if you are trying to make $5,000 or $10,000 a month, because you have to sell too many people and you're not talking to enough people to sell that many people, even online, even for $7. I'm just saying, because some of you know that I have that program and you think, oh, I'm going to start a program like that. That seems easy to sell, $7. Yes, but I already have lots and lots of money coming in regular other higher end program payments and stuff. So I am already positioned now to do a lower end program. Please don't do a lower end program to make your nut. So that is a really clear distinction I like to make, because there's too many people out there teaching membership programs right now, and you need to make $8,000 a month, yet you're selling something for $40. Well, how many freaking people do you need to sell to make $8,000? Too many is my point. It's going to be very unrealistic. So you talk and then I'll think of something else.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But basically my come from is that I am a high ticket sales type of gal. So I know that it takes me the same amount of time and effort to enroll someone into a very high ticket program that could be $7,000, $10,000, $18,000, which I just did yesterday with a couple, because they're new business owners and they are overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. And they need a solution fast to be able to turn things around. So I love doing the high ticket sales because I'm not looking for a whole lot of clients. I'm looking for a select few, because for me, I'm at a point where I want to be able to travel. I want to spend time with my family. My kids are all over the world, one in Israel, one in Australia. That's what my priority is. Money is absolutely important, but the lifestyle is actually just as important to me also. However, when I really looked at things, what I've been able to figure out with going with the high ticket sales mainly, and then also starting to later on add in the group coaching programs, is it is possible to turn your yearly income into your monthly income. I'm going to just say that again. What you make in a year, it's possible to actually make that in a month when you start to get away from that hourly rate and selling your time. And the reason that I'm such a proponent about the hourly rate is because I just believe it's unfair. It's unfair to you as well as to your clients. And the reason why it's unfair is because it actually pits you against your client. They want you to get it done for as quickly as possible so it can be as cheap as possible. Whereas for you, you want to draw it out to be as long as possible to make the most money out of it. It actually discourages you from being more effective as well as efficient. The other thing that I see with the hourly rate is that it undervalues your expertise. So we're really talking about you connecting with your value and what you bring to your table. Selling time minimizes what it is that you know. And because of that, it then pits you against everybody else that calls themselves a weight loss coach, a grief counselor, a videographer, an editor. It just puts you in the same pool. And when someone's looking to hire you now, they're judging whether they're going to hire you based on what your hourly rate is and whether it fits into their frame of what it ought to be, or whether you're charging more than that. So when you're charging by the hour, it just has you in that competitive place. And that's not a great place for any of us to be living. And so the third reason why I really don't like the hourly rate is because as you gain expertise and technology improves, you get faster. That means that you're earning less money getting that same result than when you first started out and you just didn't know as much stuff. So that's why I'm going to say shifting away from an hourly rate or charging by the session or the project is definitely something that you have to connect with your personal value, what your worth is on the inside. You have to totally believe in that change that you're making, that difference that you're making for your clients, the way that it really lifts them up and makes a difference in their lives. You have to connect with that first. And it's not about having confidence. It's about having the courage to be able to stand behind that difference that you make for somebody else. And when you can do that, then it starts to open you up to understanding what your value is and recognizing that your value isn't so much what you see as your value. It's more about understanding what someone else, that potential client, sees as your value. And once you can have them see your value, then it's no longer a conversation about how much do you charge by the hour, but it's about, can you help me fix this problem? And I trust you to be able to do that. And once you get there, what you do is no longer connected to time. It's really connected to the outcome and the solution that you offer. So Katrina, how would you like to expand upon that?
Yeah, so I would give an example because I know we're talking about coaching a lot, but I have a virtual assistant client who does value pricing. And most of you know virtual assistants charge by the hour typically, where it's anywhere from $20 to $80 an hour, perhaps, right, to do certain tasks for you. Sometimes they have a retainer, but a retainer is still based on an hourly, right? So this gal, she evaluates the business and how big you are and how many things you might need, of course, and then just gives you a one-time fee. And then her team just knocks it out of the park and does whatever it takes to do that thing. She doesn't calculate hours. She just knows she feels valued at X dollars working with your company. And, she has a loophole, like if things ever change or whatnot, we can reevaluate that. But for the most part, she gives you one price, and if you like it and you feel valued and she feels valued, then that's how then she charges. And she doesn't nickel and dime with the hours. I do that with my higher end, high ticket mastermind as well. It's unlimited access to me, right? A lot of people don't do that. And I still do that with the select people that are in there because I don't want to have to track, oh, this is your call number 10 out of 13. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to talk to anybody. I want to be able to text them. I want them to be able to not have that barrier like, oh, I can't book a call yet because I only have 3 left and it's got 6 months in the year. And I've had people that had that problem. And I've felt that way, frankly, when I was in a program. So I was like, hoarding my calls because I only had X dollars. I mean, I had a coach one time who was amazing, but I honestly only had like 8 45-minute calls with them for an entire year. And I had a lot of stuff to do and learn, right? And so I had to be very strategic with when I booked those. And I just like to take all of that away when I do that. So think about how you can do more of a value pricing packages. I don't like to do the one-time calls either because I'm like a fire hose. It's like, bleh, like, let me just tell you a bunch of stuff and then you won't know anyway how to implement it or do it, right? So I do a 3-call package though for those people who want to try me out. But that's it. And then you have to kind of go into a higher program service kind of an agreement. So I wanted to give some examples there. And lifestyle is key. Like a lot of the things that I do, are scalable and changeable. So the beauty about being an entrepreneur is you can change what you're doing anytime, and you can change your mind anytime. If I'm offering something right now and 2 years from now I decide I don't want to do it anymore, I fulfill with the clients who I have, if I still have some, and I stop it. You just change it. And so you can do that. You don't have to decide today what you're going to be doing for the next 20 years. You just decide what sounds good to offer today and what price point sounds good today. And then know that you can be, I say, be open to the evolution of you and your business and your pricing and your programs and your products. But please keep inching them up is the point.
And inching them up is probably one of the toughest things that people do, whether they're just starting out or they're a legacy enterprise business. Raising prices is just tough because of all the stuff that comes up. You don't want to lose clients. You need the money. Who will pay for that? My mentor doesn't charge that much. It is definitely something that I love because it challenges your belief systems about your value as well as your worth. Before we go into that any further, I would love to transition into the last one, the last question about giving away stuff for free and not knowing how to charge for it. So, Katrina, go ahead and I know you have some thoughts about that.
Oh, that's a big question. Giving away stuff for free, I think, is a must in this day and age. And giving away some of your best stuff. Mm-hmm. I personally like to do it in this route where you can actually hear me, see me, and be with me, because I think, number one, from a sales point, it actually makes people want to work with me faster. And I think it will happen for you as well. The people that are, I think, try to be too hands-off, it's a slower sales process, I believe. It doesn't have to be. But I think when they can feel you, a lot of people have been burned, right? In the past, from investments they've made, whether it's from, a $200 or a $2,000 thing or a $20,000 or $50,000 thing. Most people you're talking to have been burned or not felt like they've gotten the value out of something that they invested in. Mm. And so they need to really trust and connect with the people they are hiring, whether it's $20 or $2,000 or more. They need to trust and connect with you more than ever these days. So I think it's important to have some kind of access or way to get to know you. Now, you can automate that through videos. You can automate that through webinars, even that are pre-recorded and things like that, so they can at least see your personality and get to know, like, and trust with you, or not, and say bye-bye, which is fine, But you just got to do more of that. You got to do more opportunities for people to get to know you in many different formats, because there's lots of different learning styles out there. There's auditory learners, there's kinesthetic learners, there's physical learners, there's all kinds of learners. And so, that's why you see on web pages that there's videos now. I tell my clients all the time, okay, this text is good, but now we need a video of you here. Because whether it's a free thing or a paid thing, we need to be able to experience you. Or we need some written proof about you, so you have to do more to appeal to the different learning styles, I think.
And I think that you really covered that very well. Part of what I'm going to shift a little bit with my answer is a lot of times I see people doing work for their clients and they're not getting paid for that work, whether it's maybe some customer service work or that you went ahead and did something that just took 15 minutes, but you didn't want to charge them. Possibly your clients came to you wanting something to go in a different direction and they needed some extra calls with you and some extra time, but you didn't know how to charge for that, or you didn't want to go back and ask them to pay you additional money than what they were already paying you. A lot of times what happens then is you're doing work for somebody and you're just not getting paid for it. You're giving it away for free. What happens when you go away from that hourly rate into the value-based pricing and you're offering packages is you start to become aware of what are some of those customer service essentials that really matter, whether it's those extra calls, some last minute changes that happen, maybe there's a crisis that came up and they need your immediate attention on something. But those little things that come up as someone's working with you, you get to actually now include them in your pricing when you price for value as opposed to charging for your time. This way, you're never, ever again going to be doing work without getting paid for it. And then later on being resentful that you did all this stuff and they don't even appreciate you, or that they get the surprise bill at the end of the month because you did all this extra stuff, and now you're going to have to negotiate your rates. So I want you to start to think of, what are all the things that you do that you don't charge your clients for, and how can we build them into your pricing and your packages in order to always be getting paid well. And that way, when the little stuff comes up, it doesn't make a difference. An example is I was just working with a client early this week on her packages. She is a virtual assistant for attorneys. What we looked at is adding in some extra 15-minute calls. And then also in the various packages, we looked at defining how they can reach out to her. The people in her silver package can reach out to her by email. The people in her VIP package can reach out to her however they want, whether it's text, email, or by calling her. Because they're more invested in working with her. The other thing that we added in that adds a lot of value is some consultation services. So she started to add in consultation services because that's really her highest value with all of them, in order to really help them make more strategic business decisions that would make their operations more automated, systematized, or efficient. And with the silver package, maybe she talks with them once a quarter, whereas with the gold package, she's talking with them monthly. With the VIP package, she's talking to them on a weekly basis. So think about some of those things that maybe you overlook or you minimize, you simply don't know how to charge for. And let's look at how to bring them into your packages, because that way, as Katrina was saying earlier, it's not just that you're offering maybe private sessions and that's how your packages are set up, but now you're offering ways that they can reach out to you in between times, or you're offering how quickly you respond based upon the different package that they're in, because your schedule is really busy and you don't want to be able to get to everybody within an hour. You want to be able to create some boundaries. So that is what I wanted to touch on. Katrina, anything that you would like to offer before we start to wrap up as far as how they can reach out to you?
Yeah, real quick, I had a different example for that.
Sure,
like
please.
if you're a corp, or like you want to get paid to speak and go into corporate, because I know there's some people on the line that might be looking at doing that or doing something different. And I've worked with many people that try to do that. And the thing is, they like, well, okay, I need to charge for my time to do the training. So it's going to be a 2-day training. Let's just say it's a 2-day training. Okay, so I feel like I'm worth, $1,000 a day. So they're going to charge $2,000. And that's what they think they're going to charge the person. And I'm like, okay, but how about this? How many hours does it take to do the research on the company to figure out what they need, do some interviews with them, do a little research on your own, come to the table with the right presentation? Number one, how many hours is that? How many hours is the follow-up? Don't you want to offer a follow-up to see if they're doing the thing that you're suggesting and doing training? Do you want to offer those extra follow-up calls? How many hours are you going to do in the back end after the presentation or the training? And a lot of times, I'm no joke, people will say like, well, it takes me about 15 hours to prepare for that, and I want to do about 5 hours in the back, and plus the 2 days. And I'm like, holy crap, $2,000 is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough when you think like that. And they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I can get paid for that? I'm like, yes, you can get paid for that. It's all part of what you're delivering, the transformation that you're providing. So therefore, it's more like 10,000, 20,000, whatever it is you want to get paid for that, right? And so I'm throwing that out because people will forget about all that, like you're saying, all this time that we're spending for free. Oh, I'll just throw that in, or I'll just throw that in. Stop it. But in the beginning, you don't always know the things you're going to throw in for free until you start working with somebody. So once you have those few test clients, and like when I started doing one-on-one, I knew that, okay, 6 months is really the minimum that I can really get. They don't want to talk to me, but we have to talk every other week because I give too much stuff. So in 12 calls is the bare minimum to really get a lot of transformation going. I don't really want to do less than that if I can help it, because they won't get what they need. right? So I've learned that over time, and I learned that these are the extras that I would throw in, and so I just have a price for that. So when you learn what the typical client of yours needs and what all that includes with what your time is and all this stuff, not that we have to charge by the hour, but you need to kind of take all of it into factoring the price point in the package, please. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that speaking is one of those things that in the beginning people undercharge, they give for free. So really appreciate you bringing that to the table. It's not just about you showing up and being a talent.
No, I speak for free all over the country all the time. I was just in Denver. I was in Washington, D.C. You do too. So, I mean, I use speaking as a marketing strategy, and I will fly across the country, speak to a group for free, and fly myself back and stay in a hotel and eat my own meals without them paying a dime, because I trust and I know that I've been doing this for long enough now. I will make $7,000 to $25,000 minimum from almost every single gig that I do that, whether it's across town or across the country. And
absolutely.
You just kind of get, I didn't do that in the beginning. I didn't know in the beginning. I didn't trust in the beginning. I didn't have the skill or the knowledge and the track record. So I would stay somewhat local. So I didn't spend too much on travel, right? And yeah, so I know we kind of have to wrap it up, and I hate, because I love talking about this kind of stuff. But yeah, so why don't you share where they can get more from you and what kind of free stuff and how you can help them?
Sure.
Okay.
Basically, what I'm offering is a strategy session. If you feel like you're ready to double your income working half the time, however, you've been overthinking about it, the thought of raising your rates intimidates you, you're not sure if you can actually charge that much or who would actually pay for it, then let's go ahead and have a conversation together. During the conversation, we start to look at what it is that you want to achieve, how does your pricing structure support that, what are the opportunities, what are the obstacles, and really what are the first steps to get started. So if that is something that you want to do, I put my link in the chat. It's businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk. Go ahead and sign up for that. I put, I think, 3 strategy session slots aside. And if you're ready to double your income working half the time, then having a conversation is the best way to get started.
Awesome. Yes. And, you know, Loren and I do little different things. And maybe I don't know, your perception is it that we do the same or we do different? I don't know. But we've had this talk, and we do different things. So you can come and talk to me. You can come and talk to her. You can come and talk to both of us, because we're probably going to do things differently with you and suggest different things. But I am happy to have a conversation with any of you as well, which I don't do a free coaching call with most people, but there's a small group here. So if you're on live or on the recording and you do it like within a day or two, I will give you more of a free coaching call. And that way we can at least I can look at what you're doing and give you a couple of quick tips on things you can do to tweak your cash flow right now, because I'm all about immediate cash flow. And then perhaps talk about if you want more, then great, we can look at that too. But let's at least give you a couple things, because I hate to see people not making the kind of money they need to make. And I just want to fix them. I just want to get my hands on people right now. So my link is in there as well. There's a questionnaire to fill out on that page with a lot of questions. So you do have to kind of give me some more information, because I need to know your goals and what you're doing and all that. But would love to chat with any of you. And if you're interested in that entrepreneur network, please go look at that. I'll put the chat in there too. $7 a month. I mean, come on. It's kind of a silly. Yeah.
So basically, I think that we covered everything that we promised. We focused on that pricing mistake. We looked at how to increase your profits without additional time spent working, and getting paid for work you simply don't know how to charge for. Katrina, I so appreciate you partnering with me today.
Yes, I do too. We had lots of fun. Loren, you are just a wealth of knowledge, and I am so honored to partner up with you on this. And hopefully you guys, what I love to see is that nobody left. You know what I mean? A lot of times you do a webinar, and so we must have been doing something right. So thank you all for sticking around. And if you want to show yourself on video and say goodbye, we can unmute you and all that fun stuff. Or you know,
we can unmute everybody. There you go. So if you're in the bathroom, you might want to mute yourself back up. But
Bye. Thanks.
yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys
Thank you.
Sticking around.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, talk to you guys soon.